All right, let's dive into a really radical, kind of powerful idea. What if joy isn't just, the prize you get after winning a battle? What if it's the actual weapon you fight with?
Think about it. When we hear the word praise, we usually picture something kind of quiet, maybe a little passive. But what if that's totally wrong? What if praise is actually aggressive, an active confrontational force? And that question leads us right to the heart of what we're talking about today. What if rejoicing, that pure expression of joy, is a literal weapon of war? When someone says warfare, our minds immediately go to struggle, right? To strain, to effort. It's just how we're wired. But scripture, well, it shows us a totally different pattern. It flips our entire idea of conflict right on its head. And this isn't just some new age idea. It's right there in scripture. The Apostle Paul lays it out. He says the weapons we're using, they're not carnal. That just means they're not physical, not swords or shields. They're spiritual weapons, and they're mighty enough to tear down what he calls strongholds. Think of those as spiritual fortresses of opposition and negativity. Okay, so we need to be super clear here. When we talk about rejoicing in this way, it's not about slapping on a happy face and pretending problems don't exist. Not at all. It's a conscious, deliberate act. It's a declaration of faith that basically says, look, I see my circumstances, but I believe God's already won this, His word is final, and the outcome is locked in. And you know what? This isn't a new concept. It's a pattern you can trace all through the Bible. The praise comes before the victory. Why? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. It takes our eyes off the size of the problem and puts them on the size of our God. Let's dig into some amazing stories that show exactly how this works. First up, let's talk about David. We're talking about David before he was king. He's on the run, he's being hunted, he's in constant danger, and yet, this is when he establishes a lifestyle of praise. He didn't wait for the throne to start rejoicing. He did it in the cave. And this verse? It just shows you his entire mindset. His praise wasn't based on what was happening to him. It was a constant, deliberate choice to bless God at all times. That was his default setting, even when things looked really, really bad. All right, now let's crank it up a notch with King Jehoshaphat. This guy is facing a massive, terrifying army, like an impossible situation. And his big military strategy? It wasn't to get more swords or more soldiers. Nope. He appoints singers and sends them to the front lines. Can you imagine? His main strategy was praise. And the Bible is so specific about what happened next. It's all about cause and effect. It says the moment they began to sing and praise, that's when the Lord stepped in and set an ambush. Their praise was the actual trigger for the miracle. Okay, let's jump to the New Testament. This pattern doesn't stop. We've got Paul and Silas. And you got to picture this. They've been beaten, they're in the deepest, darkest part of a prison, and their feet are literally locked up in stocks. I mean, by any normal standard, this is game over. It's hopeless. But at midnight, their absolute darkest hour, what do? They start singing praises to God. And the result? It's just unbelievable. A supernatural earthquake shakes the entire prison, every single chain breaks, and all the doors fly open. Their praise, it literally changed their physical reality. And of course, the ultimate example is Yahusha, or Jesus. The book of Hebrews tells us that for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. Now get this, he wasn't joyful about the suffering. No way. His focus was locked on the victory, on the joy that was waiting for him on the other side. So you see, when you line up all these stories, this pattern just jumps out at you. It's like a kingdom blueprint for warfare. Step 1, rejoice before the victory shows up. Step 2, praise when the pressure is at its absolute worst. And step 3, declare God's truth even when fear is shouting in your ear. This verse here, it's like the perfect summary. It shows praise and warfare aren't two different activities. They're two sides of the same coin. The high praises in your mouth and the two-edged sword in your hand, they go together. One isn't complete with the other. Okay, so that's the biblical principle. It's powerful, right? But the big question is, what does that look like today? Well, that's exactly why a movement like Reggae for the King exists. It's all about taking this ancient pattern and putting it into action in a modern world. And this image, wow, it just says it all. That roaring lion, that's a direct reference to the Lion of Judah, which is a biblical title for the Messiah that's all about authority and power. And that text next to it is so important. They're saying, hey, we're not here to entertain you. We're here to engage in spiritual warfare. So, what does this war look like? Well, for them, it's fought with a few key things. It's fought through sound and praise, it's fought through unity, people coming together, and it's fought by making bold, public declarations of faith. I mean, taking the whole thing right out into the open. So, okay, why should any of this matter to you? Well, here's the thing. This whole pattern, this idea, it's not just for historical figures in a book or for one specific movement. The idea is that this is a direct call to action for every single believer. I mean, it really doesn't get any more direct than this verse right here. The instruction isn't rejoice when you feel like it or rejoice when things are going your way. It's a straight up, continuous command, rejoice evermore. Always. That changes everything, right? It makes rejoicing a discipline, not just an emotion.
So, if you take away one thing, let it be this. The world's way is you fight, you struggle, and then, if you win, you get to rejoice. But the kingdom's way completely flips the script. You rejoice first. And that act of rejoicing, that is the fight. That's what releases the power to win. And that leaves us with one final, really powerful thought to chew on. The next time you praise, the next time you actively choose joy when things are tough, remember this. You're not just going through some religious motion, you're picking up a weapon. You are actively engaging in warfare.